Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And man, is this one a special one. You guys know I have had the opportunity to review some very fine and very expensive firearms on this channel, and today is no exception, and this one might take the cake as of me recording this when it comes to price. This is the Nighthawk Custom Sandhawk. I believe it's also referred to as the comp model because it does have the compensator on the front. And you guys know that Nighthawk Custom is one of the premier 1911 manufacturers in the world. So to get this to the channel on loan from one of my local subscribers, and I want to thank him right now, and that is D. He just wants to go by his first initial. It means the world to me. I mean, wow, having such an amazing pistol here on the channel is so awesome. So besides thanking D, I always want to thank my Patreons as always, because through their monthly support of my channel, they help keep the lights on around here. And you guys know that YouTube is always trying to constantly demonetize firearms channels like my own, so their support goes a long way. And of course, my primary sponsor who provides all of the ammunition for every single range report, and that is Brownworks. More than likely, you're watching this video because you like nice guns, you like high-end 1911s, and you have a fine taste in firearms. So I know you are going to have a fine taste in grips. You're going to want to make your guns one of a kind and unique just to you. After all, if you're going to drop like $5,000 on a 1911, well, you need some grips that are of equal quality and equally that special. So please go check out Brownworks. Mark over there is a master craftsman. He can make many different types of grips out of many different types of exotic woods, putting on custom logos and etchings. You guys need to go check out his Instagram page as well. He's always putting new pictures up there of his latest projects. Everything from laminate wood all the way to custom one-of-a-kind grips for very unique firearms. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. So if you have high-end tastes with firearms, I know you're going to have high-end tastes with grips, and there's no better place to go shopping for those grips than Brownworks. I'm going to put a link to his website in the description and pin a comment. Please go over there and check out his website through that affiliate link, and I'm also going to put a discount code as well for 10% off your first order. So as I said, you like fine guns like this particular Nighthawk Custom, you need a nice set of grips, and Brownworks will set you up. So please go over there and tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about this magnificent piece of machinery. As I said, this is a Nighthawk Custom Sandhawk. Now this is a very special model that is made by Nighthawk Custom. It has a match grade barrel. It is a 2011 style 1911, which means it takes double stack magazines, and this particular firearm is chambered in 9mm. So these magazines say you get 17 rounds of capacity. That's pretty awesome when it comes to a 1911. This particular model also has a custom Cerakote job. I think it is absolutely beautiful, and it does come optics ready, and this Trijicon SRO is included with the package. And something that is really unique when I was looking on their website about this, and it's really something that most people might not even notice, there's a little bead here on the front sight, and that little bead, believe it or not, is 14 karat gold. Take a look at that. So it's something really special and different than I've ever seen on any sight on any gun. So if you're spending the type of money that this gun requires, well, having an honest-to-God gold bead in that front sight, I think is kind of the icing on the cake. This gun also, as I mentioned, does have a compensator on it. Now, one of the things that Nighthawk Custom prides themselves on, and I believe it's even in their marketing, they say one gun, one gunsmith. And here is the packaging that this particular firearm comes in. And here, when it comes to the case, I believe you see it right there as well. Nighthawk Custom, one gun, one gunsmith. So it is my understanding that every gun that comes out of their factory is worked on by a single gunsmith from start to finish. So every one of these guns is handmade, hand assembled, and hand fit. So they're supposed to be about as close to a perfect fit as you can possibly get. And that is really cool. And that probably is why these guns cost so much. much because so much work went into these. These are very labor-intensive, finely built guns, and you're gonna pay for that. But is it worth it? So before we get to the range report and the actual shooting videos, I want to talk about the things that I like and don't like from just sitting here on the table, because it's really cool to get such an amazing gun here, and I just like to handle them, look at them, see how they're built. And so the first thing I really like about this gun, obviously, is going to be the build. This gun is fit together perfectly. When you rack this slide, it is like butter. I mean, I have never really shot a gun with that slide action like that. That is absolutely amazing. It is just perfectly milled. I also absolutely love the color. Now, I know that some people are not going to dig that. I know a lot of my fans here like guns that are all black, and my wife likes guns that are pink. But man, oh man, do I have a special place in my heart for flat, dark earth firearms. I just kind of feel like it's the modern color. They just look really good and they weather over time really well. So I think that's extremely attractive. Something else I really like here, obviously, is going to be the trigger of this firearm. However, I'm not a big fan of the flat face trigger, but when it comes to the way this trigger feels and the way it breaks, man, that is awesome. So nice. You guys know 1911s pretty much have great triggers right out of the box. Well, this thing is amazing. If that flat face trigger was just a little bit curved, I would love it even more. Besides the compensator, something else that I really like is the weight of this gun. It's very well balanced. This gun, I believe they say, is dehorned for carrying, and we're going to talk about that later in the review. But it's weighted really nice, I think, for competition. So with the compensator and the weight of this gun and the fact it's chambered in 9mm, I'm expecting this thing to have almost no recoil. So that's the things here from just handling it on the bench that I really like. Now let's talk about a few things that I don't like. Now I know some people are going to say, what in the world about this gun could you not like? Well, I'm kind of picky. When it comes to my 1911s, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. And so I am not a big fan of this extended frame and the dust cover going all the way to the front of the firearm, all the way out here. Yes, you get this nice rail, but for me, I like the traditional look of a 1911 with those scallops and the frame coming out to about here. Now this probably does add some rigidity and some weight out front. However, I'm just not a big fan of that look. With that compensator and this frame, it looks too blocky to me. And for me, the 1911 not only is a functionally fantastic gun, it's also a very aesthetically pleasing gun. It has all that balance to it. And I kind of feel like this gun, for me, is just a little bit too on the blocky side. Now, as I said, that's kind of a qualitative thing. Some people may look at this and think it is the neatest thing and the best thing since sliced bread. But for me, having looked at 1911s and adored 1911s for so long, I don't think I'm really a big fan of that look. Now, I'm sure Nighthawk Custom offers guns that look a little bit more traditional that are made to this same standard. But when it comes to this model, I think I just like the standard look a little bit more. I've also mentioned that I don't like these flat face triggers. I know people are always going to tell me that I'm missing the boat on this, and I shoot these things all the time now. And when it does come to flat face triggers, however, 1911s are the ones I can tolerate the most because the trigger comes straight back into the frame versus it being on a hinge. The ones that are on hinges, like a Glock trigger, those feel really weird to me. This one, not so much. I just kind of feel like my finger is naturally curved and it just fits into a nice curved trigger a little bit more to have an even pressure on that trigger. And the last thing I'm not going to like is this modular frame. Now, you might not be able to tell it here on camera, but the trigger is actually in this modular part of the firearm here. It looks like it can come out. So the frame is almost in two parts. You have this upper part and this lower grip module. Now, I'm sure Nighthawk offers many different grip modules, but you can't go out and buy your own set of custom grips. So I really wanted to plug Brown Works again and say, man, it'd be awesome to have a specialty set of grips for this thing, but I don't think that's going to be possible. You're kind of stuck with whatever type of grip modules that Nighthawk has. So I do like the standard type of lowers on 1911s a little bit more. But those are the things that I like and don't like, and I know a lot of that stuff is really qualitative. So let's get this thing to the range. Let's see how it shoots. So let's put the first magazine through this thing. So I'm going to load up one of these magazines. I'm going to set the target at 7 yards, kind of my standard distance. I'm really anxious to see how this thing shoots, see what the recoil is like, and how accurate it is. So let's see how I do. All right, so obviously this gun is very accurate, and for me, it shoots really, really well. It's shooting a little bit low, so I'm going to need to adjust this SRO, but that's not really a big deal. But man, when it comes to the recoil, it doesn't have any recoil at all. Between the caliber, the weight, and the compensator, I think it has less recoil than a 22, and you're shooting 9mm. Wow. The other thing too that I notice is that when you're shooting it and the slide locks back, just because the action is so perfectly tuned, it doesn't really feel like the gun is locking back, but it definitely does. I kind of thought I had another one in the chamber, but it's just because the gun is tuned so well and the recoil is so light. I am extremely impressed by that. I don't think I've ever shot any 1911 with this type of recoil. That is pretty darn sweet. Well, I'm now going to set the target out at 12 yards. I'm going to load up another magazine. I'm just curious how this thing is going to open up when it comes to my grouping. Usually they do. I know that I call this the accuracy portion, and sometimes people in the comments will say that's not really an accuracy test because you're not bench resting it. Well, I'm not here to test the gun necessarily as much as me as an average shooter shooting such a fine firearm and how it performs for me, because I'm not somebody that's going to bench rest these at the range. I like to shoot them, I like to have fun with them, but I do like to see how I can shoot them at longer distances. So another magazine, 12 yards. I'm going to go for center mass here, and I'm also going to adjust this optic. So hopefully my grouping will be a little bit better. So I'm pretty happy with that group, and I really made one mistake in that test, and that is this gun really wants to be shot fast. I know it's a high-end race gun. This trigger is really nice, and yes, I still want that curved trigger, but this gun just wants to be shot fast, and I wanted to take my time, but man, it just wants to go fast, and I probably went a little bit faster than I should have, and my group was a little bit too big, so I'm going to take the blame on that one, but the gun still is exceptionally accurate. Well, I'm now going to give my wife Becky a shot shooting this thing. I'm really curious what she's going to think. She thinks it's kind of big and loud from standing behind it and filming me so far, so she's actually a little bit scared to shoot it, but I know from already shooting this thing, I think she's going to absolutely love the recoil, so I can't wait to get her thoughts. So here's how she did. So as you can see, she shot it really well. Her group was better than mine, and I absolutely love that. I hope you guys also enjoyed the target she shot at. She really wants to go hog hunting. Now, I personally cannot hurt any animal. I guess I could if I had to put food on the table, but I'm not really a hunter. But she wants to go hog hunting. So when we saw those bacon targets, as I call them, the ones with the hog, she just had to shoot. I'm like, you want to shoot the Nighthawk Custom at a bacon target? She goes, yeah. So I let her, and she did a great job. She was also super impressed by the recoil of this gun. She really liked it. But like me, she doesn't like the flat face trigger, and she always complains about the textures of these grips. Let me show you this particular grip. Now, I personally find this one to be very comfortable. It kind of has this circle or hexagonal little dimples in it. I do not find them to be too aggressive, but she didn't seem to like it. She's really picky. She kind of likes smoother grips. She really likes the Brownworks grips I have on my 1911s that don't have any texture on them. And so that was just her complaint, but she shot it exceptionally well and liked it. And unfortunately though, while she and I agree on most things in life, she and I seem to disagree on the color.
It's just ugly colors.
You're breaking my heart.
Sorry.
So, besides her breaking my heart about the color, and I told her, no, it doesn't come in pink, I can say from filming that segment, I actually discovered two things. I noticed, number one, that the ejections on this firearm are a little bit erratic. Not that they're bad. Sometimes they're at the 3 or 4 o'clock position. A couple times they were at the 5 o'clock position. So they're not always the same. Now, luckily this one does have an internal extractor. I complain about those on like the Smith & Wessons, so I like how they stuck with this traditional John Browning design. And from standing behind the firearm, this thing is a lot louder to the people around it than it really is from standing behind it and shooting it. So shooting it, it feels like a standard and sounds like a standard 9mm, but with this compensator and maybe you're to the side or a little bit to the back, it definitely does sound a lot louder. So now we know how my wife feels about this. I want to see if we can use this in a defensive scenario. The first thing I'm going to do is run hollow point plus P's through it, because when I was looking online at the description on their website, they claim that this gun is completely dehorned for carry, so it's not going to get caught or snagged on anything, and there's no sharp edges. So I guess somebody would want to carry this gun. Personally, I wouldn't, because if you had to use this gun in a self-defense scenario, well, it's probably going to end up in an evidence locker, and this is a very, very, very expensive firearm, and I wouldn't want to be out a very expensive firearm like this. But who knows, maybe some people do want to carry this because they can afford it, and they're probably going to run hollow point ammunition through it. So I think putting a magazine through this gun to make sure it runs hollow points is really important. I'm also curious that when I run hollow point plus P, is the recoil going to be any different, or is it still going to be as smooth and light as the rest? Well, this beauty was as accurate with those hollow points as it was with ball ammunition, and in case you were wondering, the first 4 rounds were Federal and the last 4 rounds were Spear Gold Dot, and the recoil was exactly the same. It is super light. Well, I want to do one more test when it comes to a defensive use. Well, even though you get a huge magazine of 17 rounds, well, you might have to change magazines, or who knows, maybe you're a competitive shooter. In that case, you're already a better shot than I am, but maybe you want to change magazines really fast for either competition or defense. Can you do that with this gun? Well, I'm going to assume you can. This thing has a pretty darn sweet magwell, and these magazines are kind of pointed at the top because it is a double stack magazine that has a single feed. So that means it's narrow at the top and it should be really easy to reinsert and find that magazine well. So let's see how fast I can shoot this with a magazine change. And like I mentioned before, this gun just wants to run fast. When you get behind the trigger of it, it's so light and so crisp. You just want to shoot it fast, and this thing can run fast. I can change the magazine out pretty darn easy too. So really, as a defensive gun, well, you couldn't go wrong. And for as much as this gun is, I wouldn't expect less. So what are my final thoughts on the Nighthawk Custom Sandhawk? A very, very high-end 1911. Well, I gotta tell you, this gun exceeded my expectations. Now I know some of you guys are probably rolling your eyes and going, well, for $6,500, well, it better exceed your expectations. But I went into the review going, well, this is already a fine firearm. Well, it exceeded those expectations. The thing I like the most about this gun is its recoil. I have never shot a 1911 with this type of recoil before. It is smooth, it is light, it's like shooting a 22, and really you just have to shoot it to understand. So I am blown away by that. It is such a well-built and high-quality firearm. There is no doubt that this gun is most likely worth the money. Now, I do have a few complaints, as I said, aesthetically. Not a big fan of this full-length frame, but for some people they may think that is the neatest thing since sliced bread, as I mentioned. But when it comes to its accuracy and its performance, its fit, finish, and function, well, that's all 5 out of 5 stars. It's the nicest 1911 I have personally ever shot, and I think that says a lot because I've shot a lot of nice 1911s, but hands down, this one is like no other. And I really like it. So on my star system, how am I going to rate this? Well, I'm going to shock you guys. It's not 5 out of 5 stars, but it is going to get 4.9 stars out of 5. I mean, as close to 5 as you can possibly get. But I have to deduct just a couple points because of the flat face trigger, which is a me thing, it's a qualitative thing, and the looks of the gun. I just wish it looked a little bit more like a standard 1911. But that's my only complaints about this. Besides that, this thing is amazing. It is as close to a perfect review as you can possibly get. It is awesome. I'm just gonna give you guys another close-up look at this fantastic piece of machinery. Just simply wow. And I'm honored and humbled to have it here at the Texas Gun Vault to try out and shoot. And it is really, really nice. If you guys ever get a chance to shoot one of these, you really need to take that person up on it because it's sweet. So what do you guys think? Do you own any Nighthawk Custom 1911s? I know they're all high-end. I know that I don't, but who knows, maybe one day I'll own one. But this thing is darn sweet. I'd love to know if you guys have ever shot one and what your experiences are with them because it's something else. So let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.